Hello, everyone, and welcome to this latest live episode of Vox Vomitus. I'm your host, Jennifer Ann Gordon, the author of Pretty Ugly, The Japanese Box and Other Stories, and From Daylight to Madness and When the Sleeping Dead Still Talk. Joining me today, as always, is my Aunt Minnie, Allison, Allison Martine Hubbard. I promise you the Aunt Minnie will make sense as we go on. Allison is the author of the Bourbon books, which includes Dibs Since September, Move On Melinda, Climb the Salmon Ladder, and Ranchers Take Manhattan. Joining us today with Bourbon is Dr. Jerry C. Drake, PhD, author of Hazel Was a Good Girl. Jerry, you look very dapper. I know you're drinking bourbon, so you came very prepared in your Gilded Age finery. So for those of you who are watching the video, I am doing my best attempt at a vintage shirtwaist.
You're fluffy and pretty and look like a doily. I love it.
I do look like a doily. I do look like a doily. I don't know about the other parts of that, but Jerry, welcome to Vox Vomitus.
Thank you.
I am very geeked up about this. I have been like obsessed with Hazel Was a Good Girl before it even came out. Like the second I heard Clash was putting this book out, I was like, I want it now. I want it yesterday. And I thought I was going to have to finagle something to interview you. But Allison, who's a history buff, said, well, this is the kind of true crime I will read.
Yes, she thought she was going to have to strong arm me or bribe me to go along with this.
Just
and
trick her.
I'm like, no, I'm there. Like this book for people who are like true crime. This isn't a gory, nasty, graphic thing. This is historically grounded and really intriguing. Not like reading it with one eye closed, going, the gore. Like it's not like that at all. You're good.
So what's incredible is, Jerry, you are our very first true crime author on Vox Vomitus. So with that, Jerry, tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about you and then a little bit about Hazel while I fan myself.
Just use it as a fan. Jennifer's dying of heat stroke.
It is warm and I'm dressed in period costumery circa 1908. I've got my border and my piped jacket and I'm burning up. I don't know how these people, and I wear a suit to work every day. I don't know how these people wore this.
Every summer I go to a Roaring 20s lawn party and it's always the first weekend in August. And and it's a very cool event and people obviously dress in period clothes.
Sure.
It's like authentic period clothes. And we are like sweating buckets. Yeah, like dancing, doing the Charleston.
Have they considered holding it in like early March instead?
I mean, that would be nice. So I'm sorry, Jerry. Tell us about yourself.
It's the cocaine. It's all the cocaine.
It's the cocaine wine.
Yeah, the cocaine wine that got them through.
Yeah.
So a little bit about
I am not drinking cocaine wine for the record.
Not today. Still got a job. A little bit about me. My name is Jerry Drake, as you said. I've been with the government for about 30 years of my life and had some fun adventures there. And I'm about 10 years out from retirement. And I've spent the last 40 years of my life, since I was about 10, 11 years old, just absolutely intrigued with mysteries. I was kind of a Encyclopedia Brown type kid at my school. I wanted to be a detective when I grew up, but I didn't want to be a cop. So I sort of settled into this career that they call an analyst with the government. So I get to work on interesting problems in the foreign policy and that kind of universe from an operational standpoint. So it's a lot of fun for me, but I'm kind of getting done with that. And so the back end of my career is to investigate and write about all the mysteries I've taken a look at over the years. What's funny is that Hazel Drew is one that only came up a few years ago, about 5 years ago. My friend, the publisher of this book, Lisa Cantorall, was moving.
I love Lisa.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Sorry. I also love Christoph of Clash Books, but I'm just like, Lisa's my girl.
They were, she was moving to Troy, New York, which is the setting of this book. And she had a dream about running into a woman in an old home library who handed her a book, and it was turquoise in color, and the cover of it said the absence of memory, which was actually going to be the original title of this book. And then about a week later, I was sick here in Washington, and I had a similar dream, except I dreamed I was sitting in kind of an art bar in some place like Crown Point, and she and Christoph came in and handed me the book and said, take a look at this book. And I opened it up, and there was a book plate in it that said Ex Libris Hazel Irene Drew. Now, Ex Libris or A Libri means from the library of. So I Googled that name, and it turned out that it belonged to the subject of this book, Hazel Irene Drew, who was murdered in July this week. In fact, her body.
Yeah, I was going to say, we just had the anniversary.
Yeah. Her body 117 years ago is at the bottom of Teal's Pond, and it won't be found until July the 11th. But she was murdered on July 7th after the July 4th weekend. And
so you have not heard of Hazel before the dream?
No, I when I go on the skeptical podcast, I have to say, not to my knowledge, because the if you don't believe in ghosts, the answer is, well, I heard about this and I read about it and it was buried in your memory, and Jungian yada yada and Freudian blah blah blah.
And I heard her name once, and she reminded me of my mother, and then blah blah.
But you know how I go.
Mother.
Because I'm Freud.
my mom's not involved in this at all. But yeah, that's the skeptical explanation. But I wrote this book from the standpoint of my experience, which is that I had an encounter with Hazel's ghost, and her ghost was a very real part of this experience. And again, if I'm a skeptical guy, if you want to explain this through Jungian and Freudian and zeitgeist and all that stuff, I'm cool with that. I mean, that works for me too. I
want it to be about a ghost.
I'm not interested in that. Go back to the ghosts, and then
great.
Go
awesome.
back to the foo-foo stuff.
Awesome. So the experience we had, and this story still weirds me out. So I've told it now 100 times, and it still freaks me F out. We went out to her grave after a long weekend of moving Lisa and Christoph into this house, one of those classic ones where you sit up all night putting together furniture and all this stuff. So we were pretty tired, and it was very, very cold upstate New York winter. I didn't have the right shoes. I'm not really a winter guy. I'm from the South, and it doesn't get that snowy down here. And
I just feel like based on your outfit alone today, that you're not like an outdoorsy kind of. Not that kind of outdoorsy.
It's the hat.
It's the hat.
Actually,
I'm thinking boats and day drinking, and not like
yachting.
Not hiking in the winter.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I'm actually quite an accomplished survivalist, but I'm not. Man, I'm pretty good. I've walked every continent except Antarctica. I've been around. in my adventures.
Love it.
But people say I look like a giant Truman Capote, and I'll accept that.
I was thinking Truman Capote vibes, but like the good parts of Truman.
The good parts.
Yeah, only
the great parts of Truman.
It's definitely the drinking part.
The drinking part, the outfits.
Mm-hmm. But we went out, and that place was extremely weird. It felt like there was electricity in the air. There was a strange vibe already. It's a liminal place, the cemetery where Hazel is born or buried, which is near where she was born. And we could not find her grave. It was not going to be possible. It was too many graves. It was too cold, and we were too tired. And there's a large, very strange oak tree in the middle of this cemetery that's obviously a witness tree that no one was ever brave enough to cut down. Native red oak. And my friend goes up there and touches it and says, "This tree is very strange. It's weird," is the thing she said. And it feels like there's electricity moving through my hand. And I was like, well, this is some bullshit. So I put my hand
That's yours, bullshit. All right.
Yeah. And I had an overwhelming experience. I felt like my mind was clouding. I got very, very sick to my stomach, like food poisoning sick, violently ill. And it suddenly occurred to me, I'm 51 now. I was about, 47, 48, then 46. It's been a long time. And I thought, well, this is the heart attack, right? This is the midlife heart attack.
Oh, no.
This is the, white guy midlife heart attack, and I'm not going to be able to get out of here. And I got no cell phone. An ambulance is not going to get to me out here, and my friend's weirding out. So I start trying to make my way back to the car, thinking, well, I can get a GPS signal. Maybe I can flag somebody down, and I couldn't make it. I start to stumble. I start to get so sick I can't stand up. It felt like a combination of food poisoning and heat stroke, which I've had a couple times before. And I go down on my hands and knees, and I get very sick. And I brace myself against something, literally, to keep from going over. And as I'm holding my hands against this object, I kind of open my eyes and I look down, and I just see the word Hazel looking up at me. And I'm looking down at the top of her famous tombstone. It's a very strange tombstone, the way her name is emblazoned on the top of it. And like that, I started to feel better. The illness cleared up, and I felt better. I got a lot of clarity. And then we began to have experiences in the cemetery. We saw a clairvisual and clairaudient experience that both of us heard. We heard a voice as loud as you and I talking that said, "Hello, beautiful," just like that. And we saw a man in a bowler hat, summer suit, vest, bow tie like this one, balding, with a little bit of mustache. And I did not know who that person was, but whenever I eventually tracked down a photograph of him, exactly who he was. And that was a truly strange experience in itself. And then we went to
now that I've finished the book, that when you just said that, like, thank you for giving me chills, because it's 1,000 degrees.
Thank you. Whew.
Thank you, Hazel.
Well, I will jump to another story that I don't tell very often. And it's not in the book. On one of my subsequent trips, I stayed in a Airbnb. Now, remember, this is the middle of COVID, and we're all going crazy. And I'm locked in my other house, which is up for sale right now, in a little sort of 20-foot by 20-foot study lined with 20,000 books and all kinds of occult artifacts and weird things, and very strange liminal place. Working on this case, I'm teleworking all day, and then I'm logging out, and I'm working on the case all night, and I'm kind of driving myself crazy with it. So I take the opportunity to get away to go to Troy, because the Rensselaer Library has reopened to invited guests, and the public library is going to let me have some time to work in the microfilm room. But I couldn't get a place to stay. So I got a really dodgy Airbnb that was above an abandoned, sort of burned out department store down in Troy. And the place had it was a one-room place, and it had a sex swing in the corner. So that was and I couldn't get the heat off. Now, it was winter, but I couldn't get the heat off, and I was burning up. So I opened the window, and I had this dream that Hazel came to visit me, and she led me out the front of this place, very Dale Cooper style, and she takes me down the street to a restaurant I had not yet been to, called Mannery's, and I talk a little bit about it in the book. It's Troy's oldest restaurant. It's every bit the diner from Twin Peaks. It looks like it. It feels like it. Same kind of coffee cups. It was open only a few years after Hazel died, and she said, you should go in here, and I said, well, you should join me, and she said, no, I can't. It wasn't around in my time, so I was like, or something to that effect, and I was like, well,
that's so cool.
But that seems to be
because it wasn't
Hazel's rules, is that she manifests only in places that existed in her day. And I don't know if that's the rule of ghosts, but that seems to be,
or if that's Hazel's rule, or if that's just
but
how things
it's always made me skeptical when people try to say they have manifested her in places that did not exist in. But
or it's like, I was in a Target and I saw Hazel.
You probably didn't, but if you are in Troy or you're in that cemetery and she wants to talk to you, I promise she will. She talked to us the last time we were there. So I went in and I sat down and I looked around, and there were all these characters in the place that I learned eventually would be characters in the story. And that dream really weirded me out. So I woke up in this room, sex swing in the corner.
I love that the dream is the weird part.
Windows open, and the place has about 2-3 crows just walking around in it.
Inside?
Inside. They're
like, we heard this place was abandoned, so they probably
they're like,
decided to invite themselves in. So I was like, okay, you guys got to get out of here because I don't want to lose my deposit, right? So
was there a no crows policy on that? I don't know why that was.
I'm very paranoid about those Airbnb policies, right? So I get up, I get dressed, I leave, I go down the street, and of course the restaurant is there. And I go in and I sit down and I order my favorite breakfast, which is 2 eggs, a sunny side up, 2 pieces of toast, and coffee. And I take a sip of coffee and I swear on my mother, who's not dead, but I swear on my mother, I literally said without realizing, that's damn good coffee.
And then you became Agent Dale Cooper.
I looked around and I was like, this is the real Twin Peaks. This is Troy. This is the place this story is really set in. And then we subsequently learned, of course, that Mark Frost was inspired. Mark Frost is the guy who created a lot of the lore surrounding Twin Peaks. He wrote the 2 novels, which are awesome, and did a lot. Very cool. Of course, David Lynch's daughter wrote The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer, which is not a light read, but it's amazing.
I was obsessed with that when it first came out. Like, I was young and I was like, I can't believe my parents are letting me read this, first of all. But I had watched the show on TV and it was on ABC. So it was like fine.
You were watching it. My parents were watching it and are like, Allison, go to bed. I was not allowed to watch it.
My parents would not allow me to watch it. I could not.
My mother watched the first few episodes with me and said they were too boring. So then she always did something else while it was on. And I was like, Laura has like this secret life. Laura is a sex worker. Laura is a part-time lesbian. Laura is doing coke in the bathroom at school. And my parents are like, that's too boring.
It's not.
Yeah, go ahead and watch it.
It's almost hard whenever I talk to people who are not of a certain age. It's hard to think about what life was like before prestige TV. Like television in the 80s was truly horrible.
It was bad.
I have to explain to my kids how a lot of the shows that I watched, I didn't watch them because I wanted to watch them, but because they were on. They don't understand that concept because they're just like, then why didn't you switch to it? I'm like, it was what was on.
Because it was either you're watching Alf or you're watching a rerun of MASH.
Or you're watching MacGyver, and that's fine.
Or worse, some horrible show like, these awful sitcoms, which, in my opinion, created this false nostalgia, but blah, 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 Michael J. Fox, yada, yada. I hated those shows, but I will never forget when the let's call him the little person comes out and he's talking backwards. My West Texas father goes, "What in the hell is this?"
This is no Alex P. Keaton.
And I
remember my father always referring to Twin Peaks as like, is that the show with that little funny midget? I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, yeah.
So to take it full Twin Peaks, me and my friends watched the show at the Louisville Lanes bowling alley. We were banished to the bowling alley to watch it.
I love that even more.
I'm glad it was a choice.
With the meth heads and lot lizards and drunks, and we're 16 and they're serving us full beers.
Of course they are. That's why bowling alleys existed in the very early 90s.
That was safer, of course, than watching it at home, in our bedrooms. But that made the experience all the more real.
So by the time you were watching Twin Peaks, you were already interested in the idea of mysteries and crimes and stuff like that. So when you watched Twin Peaks, I mean, did that like light another fire in you? Like, should I be an FBI agent? Like,
am I Dale Cooper?
At one point in time, I also wanted to be a detective until I realized I had to go through the police academy and do all of that. And I was like, I want nothing to do with that part. I to
I
solve
had
the
it.
crimes.
I
I just
had-
want a wall with like stuff I could pin
You just want a
together.
string wall.
You know,
That's
I
all
just
you
want a string wall.
Crazy wall, right?
Yeah.
You know, my experience is that I was also heavily influenced by Indiana Jones, and my first career was actually as an archaeologist. I have a
Yeah, I
degree
think a lot of us wanted to be archaeologists before we
Yeah.
realized that it's not Indiana Jones. Like that's
So-
not an accurate
Yeah.
portrayal of what you get to do. It's
So
sitting there with like a little toothbrush.
That's the
47
thing,
hours.
right? And there's one thing, you know, what an archaeologist and a medium pizza have in common. Neither will feed a family of 4. So.
Oh, I love that.
That's very true. That's a lot of.
Oh my God, I can also use that about my theater degree.
Oh, I did theater too. I did a lot of that stuff. That was a lot of fun.
things that don't pay for 100. Alex.
Right. I know. But what I got into was obviously computer science, and you know, I was very fortunate to get into information science at a time when literally no one did it and no one understood it. And so, you know, I have degrees in history and a field of adult education, but my work in adult education is largely to understand how to build electronic learning models and things like that. So that's my day job, is to build machines that can do this research. And
I tell everybody that you work for the FBI.
I do not.
But that is the story I tell people, that you are a forensic something or other for the FBI. Maybe accounting or maybe computers is what I told my husband.
There's like 7 agencies you have ascribed Jerry to in our messages. And I was
like, I'm pretty sure he works for the CIA, but in something with numbers.
Yeah, I was preparing to have to like redact parts of this episode because, and then you're like, oh, I build machines. That's totally safe. We aren't going to like out you and have you be burn noticed or anything, right?
Yeah,
okay,
but
I'm like, sure, you build machines, Jerry.
The job places a lot of limits on how much we can tie ourselves to the job. But I work for the FBI is a very small agency compared to the agency I work for. We refer to ourselves as the premier cabinet agency of the United States government. So you can Google that and figure it out. How about
I will. I'm going to do some detective work. Pre-COVID, I had a dance student who was retired FBI, but he was an accountant. But every dance lesson I had with this poor man, I would just bombard him with the most asinine questions. A lot of them were about Twin Peaks.
Like, I don't write for the show, Jennifer.
I know. And he was like, I'm an accountant. And I'm like,
you do my taxes.
But, and then he said the wrong words to me, that his dream was always to be a private detective. And I was like, let's start this business. I went to school for theater. On your Girl Friday. I'll do whatever. So I'm saying I know a lot Jerry, I would do this for you.
Again, you know, that's what's fun is if you want to be a private detective, get ready to take pictures of people cheating on their insurance and on their spouse. And yeah, that's very exciting. That's why, you know, solving problems with the government's a lot more fun than doing that.
And it probably pays better. And on the side, you can...
You have a retirement job looking at it. But I've been a history professor. I've done a lot of that stuff. But I've been very fortunate to have a foot in the technology sector in an interesting way. So that's been a lot of fun. But really, you know, my mom was kind of messed up and thought appropriate viewing for a small child on the howling plains of nowhere in West Texas was a steady diet of mysteries and horror movies. And I had no child books in our house. She read me Sherlock Holmes stories when I was a kid because that was the closest thing to anything for the youth.
I like it. You know, I like that. I like that. I'm on board with that, Jerry.
Yeah, we watched a lot of Dark Shadows and that kind of stuff. So, you know.
Oh, Dark Shadows ruined me.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Hammer Films. So the idea of, you know, and of course, you know, she was a huge In Cold Blood fan. You know, Truman Capote was, I mean, when I was born, True was still out there doing his thing. You know, he hadn't even disgraced himself yet.
He had? No, because like we're all of the same age. I feel like Truman Capote's always been kind of disgraced.
I mean, I
didn't find out about it until he was disgraced, but
I was born in 74. So when I was a kid, he was still
we were all born in the 70s.
Yeah, I was going to say, but I don't remember learning about him till older. So
but he was always on the Carson show being weird and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, And a lot of his worst stuff came in the late 70s, early 80s. But man, he was the king of narrative true crime. He invented that genre.
He made true crime a thing because he also like, didn't they call In Cold Blood? It was like the first nonfiction novel.
First nonfiction novel.
Because it's so beautifully written.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like In Cold Blood, Helter Skelter, and Zodiac. I read all of those too young.
Yeah, same.
And I was just like, well, I guess it's because I would read that and then Sweet Valley High.
Those are all the same.
So it's like my brain, this is why I'm this.
It's called balance, you know?
Yeah. It's reading Pet Sematary at age 10 and then being like, oh, the new Babysitter's Club is out.
Right. I mean, those books always feel like something horrible's about to happen. Like,
and then nothing does, and it's such a letdown.
And it's always a letdown. Like, you know, why is the Gilmore Girls not a paranormal show? I feel like
different soundtrack,
but it just needs something paranormal is supposed to happen in that show, and it just never.
Either that or one of Rory's dumb boyfriends, should kill her.
Why is she never murdered by one of her weird boyfriends?
There's a cut if you look it up. There's a cut where someone's like creepy music, where her Dean is now a stalker, and that always throws me because Dean isn't Dean. Dean is Sam on
Sam from Supernatural.
Still,
I love that, and I'm always like, that's the show.
I've been watching you.
It's filmed like Charmed. It's got the camera angles and the color palette of a paranormal show from the 90s, and it just never.
Yeah,
it forgot to put that element in.
It needed like a Halloween special movie, like double episode where they're like, Rory goes to a slumber party with, you know, and then they use a Ouija board and like bad things happen for like 2 solid hours. And then like you always think like, ooh, was Luke possessed by a demon this whole time?
That would have made that show way more palatable.
I mean, there's always the theory that there is no Lorelai. I mean, it's that Lorelai is either Rory's imagination or Rory is Lorelai's imagination. Either works, honestly, and makes the show more
it's like how Garfield is actually living in an abandoned home, and John and Odie are his imagination.
Oh, poor Garfield.
Yeah, that
prince is dead.
Isn't there a whole website where it's like Garfield without
John? Yeah.
Oh, I've cried over that.
Well,
that was before I was medicated, though.
Like all those theories of like, you know, Greece is really a fever dream because, you know, Sandy Brown. I love all those.
I mean, I think that's probably true.
That is true. I'm like, but that's a fact.
Right. And the Fresh Prince got in a fight and didn't survive. And that's, you know, all of that is he's in a coma. All of that works. It all tracks. It's fine.
So, Jerry, sorry, I'm like, I got to get back to the writing.
Fine, I got to talk about real stuff. Yeah.
Hazel.
Hold on, Hazel. Hazel was a good girl. That's the name of the book. So you said you've been like investigating cases for like kind of like, I don't want to say your whole life, but your whole life. Yes. And then, so obviously, and you'd been writing before Hazel, but then the dream happened, the incidents happened, and then Hazel took over your life.
Yes, that's what happened.
Yeah. So have you been able to go like, so do you define your life the way we define television? Like before and after Twin Peaks? Do you define your writing life now as before and after Hazel? And are you working on things that you worked on pre-Hazel?
Man, that's a good question because in my head, I've realized that I have a child's sense of time. There's something wrong with me that.
Jerry.
I have a very childlike sense of time where an hour still feels like a really long time. So, 5 years ago to me feels like the 1990s. So
no, I think that's for all of us.
But the 1990s was a year ago.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, good.
That it's longer
right?
ago.
I'm clearly still wearing the same color lipstick and have like the same outfit choices.
I have a child who is almost 15, but I also
you do not.
I do, and then I go, but the 90s were less than 10 years ago, and I know that doesn't math, but I don't do math, so that this will bother me.
I guess that's the thing is I feel like the 90s was about 350 years ago. It feels like a really long time ago. So Hazel feels like she's been in my life for decades, even though it's only been 5 years. And I'm not done with the case. I mean, it will always go forward. But for me, the worst aspect of this and the thing that I find so tragic and terrible is marketing.
Mm.
So I am defining my life as before a hobby, now a job, right? So now my next book I'm very excited about. It's a crime no one knows about. It was discovered by me. It's unique to me.
So there's no other like things out there in the universe where people are like, well, so and so thought it was blah blah.
No, you're not going to be able to do that with this one because sources are all online, offline. This is very unique case. And it's
is it historic like Hazel, or is this like
1932? A man is found dying in the frozen driveway of an abandoned mansion in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Full moon.
Sorry. Am I related to him? I'm a little concerned. That's my people. Hold on. Go on.
Has hex markings carved on his face, and there are
That's never a good thing.
Stab wounds around his heart. And,
oh my gosh, Jerry.
And he is tied to the underground voodoo and sex community and gay sex community in Philadelphia. And they attempt to solve his murder, and his own family covers up what happened. Five African Americans were convicted and then subsequently acquitted, and the murder remains unsolved to the present.
Holy!
So it's a fascinating case, and I mean, this is one that will have a national attention because it's complete. I mean, true crime is a endless maw of need. It's the most popular genre right now, and probably will stay so for a long time. And to find unique cases that other people haven't stumbled upon takes a lot of research. So I'm very excited about the next book. And you know, the fun part is doing the research. The hard part is trying to get an agent, you know, and write a blurb and all that stuff.
Oh, don't blur it. No, and I think one of the interesting things about what you said, as far as like, okay, well, the family they weren't cooperative, and so much of this stuff it comes down to who was cooperative and who wasn't. And in Hazel, I mean, I feel like so much of this was like, well, these people weren't telling the truth, and these people weren't doing their job, and these people, and it's like, okay, and there's no accountability.
There's no accountability. You can't just go and like call Minnie right now and be like, girl,
Minnie,
you fucked this up for everyone.
Okay.
Well,
Also,
except for herself.
Except for herself.
Yeah, she's fine. She's like, peace out.
Yeah.
But I did
Minnie's like, I've got this whole plan going on.
I think there's like a whole list of names that are no longer popular because a cartoon or a Muppet took it. So we don't have like Minnies running around, but half people in this book were named Minnie or Mina.
Yeah.
I was like, when was that so popular?
Minnies, Minas. There's a couple of 3 Hazels in here. Yeah.
Franks, Williams.
I remember like, so there's a part, you know, early on before like I was like fully wrapped my brain around the difference between Mina and Minnie. And then there's insinuations about Mina and Hazel, which
they had a very close friendship. That's
very, very close friendship.
Weird. Yeah, weird.
And love that whole angle, love all of that. And then I was like, wait a minute, isn't that her aunt? And then I'm like, no, that's Minnie, not Mina. But then I was just like, oh, like Mina from Dracula.
Yeah,
like that tracks.
And then I spent too much time trying to go, was this name all originated as a short for Wilhelmina? So these are all more Williams?
So
yeah.
Is that what Mina or Minnie are short for? Are they diminutives of that? Like
in this case, one of the other authors thinks that Aunt Minnie's name was Wilhelmina, but it is not. She was named Minnie.
Yeah.
And it was a name at the time. It was a nickname that became a name. My name is Jerry, which a lot of people think is short for Jerome or Gerald or something like that. It's not. It's just Jerry.
Right. But like
my very first roommate was a Betty, not short for anything.
Not Elizabeth. Yeah.
Betty.
Not an Elizabeth.
Yeah. So
and the Steves were just Steve and not Steven. Yeah. No, but as far as the origin of the name, that's what my brain was going on. I wonder if that's the origin of it is Wilhelmina. And I'm like, so it's more Williams. Everybody in this book.
It's a cult of Williams.
I know.
She appears in the census even as a 2-year-old as Minnie Taylor, and then she's buried under the name Minnie Filiu, which is her married name. Yeah, very late in life. I've met some of her relatives recently, and one of them
did they come to one of your book events?
Yeah, that was pretty.
What were their thoughts on this? Are they like, well, what you said about our aunt is accurate?
They called her an old battle axe, so they knew a few things about her. But
lovingly, sure.
The patriarch of the family was very gracious, old country guy, and he is reading the book right now. And he said he would get back to me, but he has his own theories. And again, that's why the case is not closed, because part of the purpose of the book was to help solve the case.
Right.
One of the things I wanted to do was get this into because this is 1908. I have things in this condo that my grandparents and great grandparents had in 1908. I've got ties from 1908 that I can wear. This is not that long ago. And I've bought antiques out in this little town and in these places from houses that were standing there that Hazel walked by. I mean, that antique was sitting in that house the day she walked by it. They took over 1,000 people visited the murder scene, and over 100 people took photos of her corpse, and none of those photos exist. So they're still out there.
Let them do that.
The photos are someplace, people going home and writing about it in their diary, people buying a postcard, and saying, "Saw the murder. I saw the body of
the murder."
Well, no, I get this. So a few years ago, so I teach ballroom dance. Our loyal viewers know this. I had some students who were, they're in their 70s, and they, it's old New England. They live in a family home that their grandparents lived in, like that kind of thing. And they were just like, they know I love vintage clothes. They came in one day with a box of all these like old fox fur stoles and things like that, gloves. And they're like, we don't want any of this. It's been up there forever. Take whatever, throw it away. Half of it's turning to dust. But in that box of these like fox stoles and gloves, still in their original packaging with receipts, were a couple like photos that were just literally turning to dust. And I'm like, this was just sitting in this box, for well over 100 years. Like,
who knows what else is out there, but let's hope isn't turning to dust, because the photo, like turning to dust in your hands, hard to be useful after that.
But New Englanders, and I consider upstate New York kind of New England, it's the same vibe, especially where Troy is. These people don't throw things away.
They don't throw things out. No. I mean, the rare book room I worked in there in Troy, I think it still had the same furniture. You have to sit on the furniture that was there when they opened the library in 1890. It hasn't changed a bit. The rare book room is the room Hazel Drew herself would have walked in if she ever went to that library. So a lot of Troy is kind of frozen in time, and also Hazel wrote a lot of letters. So
yes, I was wondering who has letters of hers that haven't turned up.
Right. None of them have ever turned up. So there could be letters out there, and I'm hoping people will see this book in a Troy Barnes and Noble or at Market Block or something and go, wait a minute, I've got a photo of a weird pond in my stuff. This could give us a clue.
Right. I have a stack of letters signed, Love H, or
exactly.
Everybody with their initials, so not helpful for the future. So guys, let's always sign our full names unless we're actively covering crimes, in which case, okay.
So I will say, Jerry, so as you said, like if somebody's in like a Barnes and Noble in Troy, sees the book, but Hazel Was a Good Girl has gotten some incredible press.
It has. It turns out that
was it the Daily Mail?
The Daily Mail, the New York Post. We were in Sundays. I'm a centerfold now in the New York Post.
Have you worked on your centerfold?
I know, and we made Crime Reads. They wanted to publish a full chapter of the book, which Crime Reads is bedrock, and we've really gotten some good press. I hope we can kind of keep that going. It comes in cycles. I mean, the book is forever now. It's not just about the sales, it's about the story, because I mean, you don't write a book like this to make money. It's really about the story.
I mean, but here's the thing, you don't write any book to make money. This is
well,
I mean, some of them you do, but
some you
do, and some people do.
Set out to do that.
But I feel, you don't set out. You don't write. I feel like, especially true crime, this kind of true crime, and obviously the book you're working on now, you don't research for many, many, many years and then be like, well, this is going to make me a thousandaire.
No, you in my case,
hundreds or maybe low thousands of dollars.
I can spend $50,000 to make $5,000 is the way it's going to turn out. But but what you can do, if you're me, is you can make your money, and then instead of playing golf or fucking around in Destin, you can solve crimes.
I love that.
I should suggest, my father recently retired. He's like, what am I going to do? I don't play golf. I've never suggested true crime to him, but he could get up to trouble.
Crimes. Armchair detective.
Armchair detective. It's
armchair detective.
Well, and definitely armchair, because my father retired about a decade later than he should have, and so he probably shouldn't even be playing golf at this point. I mean, he can play golf.
Just have him go on Reddit and just search his fate. Does he have a favorite crime?
I don't know.
Reddit.
I nearly
go down the rabbit hole.
On a hike for Father's Day, I nearly killed him. So I'm like, let's take it to like armchair level activities.
Yeah, that's perfect. You can get in that public library. It's air conditioned. It's sit there grinding that microfilm all day.
And he reads, so that's doable.
Great hobby. Yeah.
Find some crime, Dad. Just don't cause any.
Just solve a crime. God, Dad, make yourself useful. There's so many unsolved murders.
Well, again, this conversation's so fun, but I have to get off. Yeah, there you go. I have to get off track. When my wife and I first got married, we were going to take the vacation that young urban professionals, when we were young urban professionals in our 20s, are supposed to take, and we rented a beach house on an island in Florida, and for 2 weeks, and we went down there, and within 24 hours I was so bored I couldn't even read or watch TV, and within 48 hours I was on the brink of starting bar fights. Like, I was just started drinking 9 a.m. and just wandering around like some character from a Hemingway novel.
I was going to say, you've wandered from Capote to Hemingway, like Florida bar fights. That sounds like
I just
then I got weirdly into bullfighting.
Right, yeah. And then soon I was bullfighting, and I just fell apart so fast, and I realized I have to go somewhere to travel. So since then, my wife and we got married on Halloween. Since then, we traveled. Nice. Cheers.
Oh my God.
You sure anniversary.
Oh my God, we can go on a group vacation.
Come with us. So
together.
We go to do a haunted location or a monster location every year for our anniversary.
I love that. That's so fun.
But when we travel, we try to go to places where there's something weird. A friend of ours got married, who's a poet. You may know her, Lisa Marie Basile, got married last year in Sicily. And I was like, I don't want to go, but I like my friend. And then I realized that Aleister Crowley's house was right there. Like, gotta go. Now, gotta get it on the bucket list. So that's the way we travel. Is if
I didn't realize he was in Italy, because I always associated him with England.
The Thelema, the place he resided the longest. I've been to Boleskine House too, but they put it back. The place he actually resided the longest is in Cefalù, right outside, about an hour outside Palermo. And it's still there. It's a ruin. It's by the local soccer stadium, and you can go check it out. His art,
Crowley and soccer, as you do.
Something for everyone.
Cool Doubleheader.
It's hard as hell to find, but if you find it, it's a very interesting place to go.
Well, I will say my husband and I travel a lot, and we try to go to places that have maybe something cool abandoned that we want.
Yeah. You're always
and haunted stuff, of course.
Hospital.
So when you were, I know, every vacation I'm we're in this old abandoned prison, and they're like, what are you doing?
Right.
I thought you were going to a wine tour. But when you were just like, I stared in this Airbnb above an abandoned department store, I was like, sold.
It's not a vacation.
That is a weekend away.
If you're not trespassing or breaking into something, it's just not a good vacation.
We broke into, and I'm not going to say where, someplace in San Francisco.
Because the statute of limitations hasn't run yet.
I mean, we left quickly because it was not a good scene. But my husband's poor father was just driving us around places that we had on Google Maps, and we're like, just stop here. I think I can dig under this fence. And he's like, what are you talking about? We like jump out of the car. We finally like break through this like, you know, part of a fence. And his father, so sweet, is like, where do I buy the tickets to get in? And we're like, just keep the car running.
Right. Circle.
Keep the fuzz
Just
calm.
circle the block.
If the
And he's
cops
just
come,
like, where is the ticket booth? And we're like, get the fuck out of here.
Seriously, the ticket booth is at Disneyland. This
right,
is not
right.
it.
But like, and then when we like ran out of there, like covered in dirt, he was just like, was it not worth it? And we're like, no, it was worth it.
It's worth it.
Cobwebs.
It was
Yeah,
worth
hold on.
it. It was worth
Yeah.
it. Yeah, an angry homeless person chased us out, but it was still
Uh-huh.
worth it.
Yeah, I mean that's the difference between the authentic experience and the ghost hunt is it's not the ghost, it's the homeless guy.
It is the homeless. It's always the homeless guy that's scary.
Yeah. When me and my buddies used to do that in high school, people would be like, "Why you got bats?" And well, it's not the ghost. You're gonna hit a ghost. It's like it's not a ghost down there, bud.
It's not the ghost. It's not the ghost.
Raccoon.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the amount of
Zach
times that
Baggins
I've-
doesn't have to deal with that. He's got security, right? Like the real ghost hunter gotta go in with something in their pocket.
Yeah, it's ghosts, really like weird stray animals that also
Mhm.
jump out at you randomly in these places where, again, like my husband and I are in this like abandoned hotel, crawled under a fence, blah blah blah. Years ago, when we were less mature than we are now. Now we
What
don't
was
do
your
those
most
things.
recent trip last
Yeah,
summer.
I don't do that stuff anymore.
I don't do that stuff anymore because I don't run as fast.
That's part of it. I cannot run the people.
I cannot
Yeah.
escape as quickly. But I remember we were like someplace and like we're always like, let's not split up. Safety in numbers. And like
split up.
immediately we're both like,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
I saw something this way.
I could. Oh, and we're both photographers, so we're like looking for the perfect shot
Mhm.
before the
Mhm.
other person gets it because we're also competitive because we're both Leos.
Totally.
So like I'm like someplace and I just started screaming bloody murder and he's just like, "Are you getting killed?" Like not even running towards me.
He's
And I
not
was like,
checking. He's just
not
like,
checking. And I was like, "That's okay. It was cats." You know,
Yeah.
because like a bunch of cats jumped out at me at the same time, and I was like, "Is it a demon? Am I being literally murdered?"
Mhm.
No, it's cats.
But you know, he didn't want to interrupt his really good shot.
I know
so
because
he
he's
then
just
took a
like,
picture of
"I've
you
got
from a
this great
distance.
shot."
He probably posted that. But again, you know,
We again, I'm having a hard time staying on topic, but we booked a really beautiful room in the turret of a castle in England, and I won't say which one, but we snuck out at night and snuck into the part of the castle we weren't supposed to sneak into, and it's this big, like great hall that they had turned into a dining room, and we're standing in the middle of this room, and some of the staff comes in and turns on all the lights and sees two people standing there. And he goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God." He's like, "I smoke. You almost gave me a heart attack."
Oh,
And he
You're like-
absolutely thought we were the ghosts. We were like, "Oh, sorry, pal.
love it.
We got lost." And he's like,
We
"Get out of here."
lost. We got
Very
lost is like my
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm not allowed in here." Is my big thing.
Right. I only had to pick 3 locks and climb over a fence. I'm
Yeah.
not supposed to be in here.
there's like
I
a
wasn't
velvet
supposed to
rope.
move
Do not
this
cross. I didn't notice. I thought that was directions.
Because even when you have permission to go in some of these places, like a certain very famous abandoned or like, you know, old prison in the United States, there are parts of it that are off limits.
There are parts that are off limits.
And you're like, how do I get there anyway?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just go.
You
Literally,
just
sometimes
step
you just
over
go.
the rope.
You step
that
over
says
the
do
rope.
not Step
Mhm.
over. Yeah.
And then when somebody is like, "You shouldn't be here," you just, I will say this,
I didn't see the rope.
my husband is not a U.S. I mean, he's a U.S. citizen. Everybody, he is a.
Does
he
he
is a
just revert
citizen.
back to his native language and pretend not to speak English?
He does
Good
go
job.
back to the native language immediately, and he's or like his accent becomes much thicker, and he's like, "Oh," duh." And they're like, "Oh, he gets away with it." Me, they're
Right.
like,
Right.
"Okay, you bitch, get out of here."
I was gonna say, can he teach you a few key phrases so you can?
The
fake
only
Lana?
phrases he taught me are very dirty, and I don't like to say them.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say people would know if they just know.
I feel like they would.
Oh, I know that one.
They'd be like, "Oh, I don't know very many Russian words, but I do know the one for
Those body parts.
cock and ass."
I knew it was a funny part.
Oh,
This has gone off the rails,
sorry,
friends.
I told you.
No,
It's
this
so
is,
fun.
and you know, so before we went live, everybody,
Mhm.
we were like, Jerry, we're shooting for 30 minutes. We're at 49 minutes now,
We
which
lied.
is like,
Always
we always lie. And this is kind of like where we usually end up in this, in this
Totally
general
off track.
area.
Mhm.
So before we finish, the book you're working on now about the case that the one that's
Yes, I will tell you. It's Philadelphia. That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah.
Because
But I'm just saying, like, at what point are you? Because I know we know the publishing industry. It is a long, grueling process from finished manuscript to agent to sub to blah. Where
So
are you in the
people can get it,
writing process?
So I have finished the first chapter, which the first chapter is to set the stage. You can always write the first chapter of a true crime without finishing your research because it just sets the stage. It sets the tone. It gives the background. There are a couple of key clues I have to find, and I'm going to have to go on the road to find those.
Oh, road trip.
So
if you go to Philadelphia, you have to go to Eastern State Penitentiary. I'm sure you've already been there.
Been there so many times.
I know. I'm sure you've already been there.
Love it.
He's staying there next time.
We will probably have to go to New York. There's a couple of New York ties. There's some Chicago ties to the case. A lot of backwoods Philadelphia. It's going to be.
How do you know when you're done researching?
You're never done. You're not done.
I know, but like, when do you have to say?
To say this is a complete enough thing that a reader will be satisfied. Because having finished Hazel Was a Good Girl, I was completely satisfied with like going, I understand where you came from and think you are correct, sir. But I understand.
I also believe you are correct.
Yeah, we won't spoil. But,
we won't spoil.
But you had to have come to a point where we're like, this book is ready to see the world. So how do you know? I think what Jennifer's asking, how do you know when it's ready to see the world?
I'm supervising a dissertation for a student at GW right now, and this is a thing I'm struggling with her with. I'm like, it's been 4 years. You have to shut it down. You've got 500 sources. You're at 150,000 words. That's too long for a liberal arts dissertation.
Yeah.
It can't go on. You know, the liberal arts is not medical evidence. It's not medical research. And even there, they often can determine efficacy without cause. So, you know, as someone who trains researchers in my job, there's what we call the preponderance of the evidence, which is good enough in a civil case. And then there's beyond the reasonable doubt, which is required.
Allison's a lawyer.
Oh, great.
Sorry, I try not.
She's like, I hate
that in here.
Cool.
We'll redact that too.
So we have, like, you two are the big brains, and I'm like, I went to school for theater. I'm a dance teacher. I believe in ghosts.
So I would love. I think I could impanel a grand jury with my book, but I don't think I could get a conviction. Right.
And that's fair. Yeah.
And that's all I wanted to be, because she never got a grand jury. She only got a.
She didn't get. Sorry.
She didn't get good due process at all.
At all.
That's just,
you know, the coroner's inquest in those days. I mean, today in New York, it's totally different. A coroner would make the determination on his or her own, on their own. You wouldn't have a jury.
Medicine.
And you know, Strope at least was Oh, the storm is playing with us here. Stroke.
I know. I was like,
doctor.
Hazel's here.
Twin Peaks has happened in your. Yeah, because we're talking about how she didn't get due process.
And she's like, I
didn't flick the lights.
That's pretty classic for her behavior, actually. And
I love you, Hazel.
The district attorney ended the case with the determination of cause. That's where the case.
That's so sad. Well, and the fact that the whole time it's like, it was suicide.
It was suicide. Oh,
it was suicide. They're like, well,
fine, it wasn't suicide.
Okay,
and it's
so again, I don't want to keep you going, but I'm glad you mentioned that. And since I have, you understand this, he had three doctors who performed the autopsy.
They're like,
2 of them were surgeons. These were men who had cut on bodies. They were not. You got
the railroad guy.
Complain about it, right? And they
the
bring
railroad guy,
a railroad doctor who had written a book about railroad surgery. I read that book, which is, I'm not a medical person. And then we were able to get a digitized copy of it. My wife found one. She's a librarian, and we did a word search. The word suicide does not appear in that book. So he was not qualified.
Definitely the expert for this.
Suicide.
Well, and then I was like, wait, there's such a thing as a railroad doctor? And I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Railroad medicine.
Look at the lights.
She is mad at the railroad doctor.
That is actually weird.
I know.
I promise I'm here alone. Nobody is doing that. Railroad surgery was a whole subgenre. I had to learn all about it. It was a whole subgenre of medicine in those days. Like big, long train trips had doctors on them, and you had to deal with injuries peculiar to the railroad, and people would have babies on a moving train, and they had to do surgery on a moving train. So this guy knew what he was talking about, but he didn't know anything about suicide. And he also worked for the same railroad as the district attorney and as my suspect for the killer. So
I know you had like there were some billionaire boys club vibes with this. It's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to give away who your killer is, but
they tried to pin it on another billionaire from the other side of the river. That's my favorite part of the story. And that guy didn't fuck around. He's like, no, I ain't. No, I'm coming in here with a lawyer's lawyer who's lawyered up all the way to the Prince of Darkness, and I'm shutting this down. That was wild. You know, I can just imagine this guy in a $10,000 suit swanking into this.
I know, being like, "Oh, you think you guys have power?"
Right? Wait,
I'm adorable.
I don't struggle with this shit. I'm from Albany.
I don't. Okay, Troy.
Right. And I'm like trying to do the money in my head because it's like, oh, she lost $6. Like that was her entire wages. I'm like, wait, what? Because of all the the transaction and the inflation. I'm going, the money here is not tracking for my head because I can't math.
So this book was 140,000 words when it was finished, so twice as long. And a lot of the book was talking about that kind of stuff. We talk about the 1% and the billionaires and all that stuff now. Today, to put it in perspective, 50% of the nation's wealth is in the hands of the top 20%. That's probably all three of us. In 1908,
well, maybe not me, but maybe
in 1908, 90% of the nation's wealth was in the hands of the 1%. This was the most inequitable time before or since in American history. In 1908, it cost $800 a year to maintain a horse and trap if you were a rich person. $800 a year. The average person in the United States made about $160 a year.
Yeah, right.
So it's like just thinking about like a simple luxury.
Her shirtwaist, which would be equivalent to about $95. That's one of my Brooks Brothers work shirts. Yeah. I mean,
my faux shirtwaist did not cost that.
No, and she didn't have to pay that. She could have gone to the Boston store and got one for about 35 cents, but she stayed up all night the night before.
I know there was
to have this thing made. Yeah, because she wanted to look rich. That's the key to the whole mystery. Why did she want? Yeah. So we could keep going on. We're not going to, not on the air. But Hazel I always hate saying like as a victim. Hazel as a person. I was very intrigued by her. I was as intrigued by her life and how she was choosing to live it as I am about this mystery surrounding her death. Like, I feel like if Hazel had lived, I would still be intrigued by
just her life.
She was going to do some interesting things, with herself.
Because she was, even the simplest thing of, she was very interested in her own health. Something simple like that. She was ahead of her time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she cared about science and fashion, girl.
And she was a housekeeper. That's a governess.
Yeah.
She was extremely ahead of her time. Again, I think that speaks to the nature of her killer. But I say that the reason why the book is called Hazel Was a Good Girl, that is a very problematic phrase these days. And I chose it on purpose. largely for that reason. You can actually see on the cover of the book a news story that says Hazel was a good girl.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said that about her, and they continued to use that phrase over and over again.
Good girl.
Because she is turned into Laura Palmer by a reporter named Will Clements, who was...
Oh my God. I mean, there could be a whole like movie about
Will
that.
And I think that when people began to read this case, Clemens's articles were the ones that were available in the early 2000s.
And they were salacious.
Salacious.
Too.
Terrible.
Yeah, like it's just, she was, yeah. And then when you read the facts, again, go back to the autopsy, go back to the doctors, and they're like, well, she was still a virgin. She had never been pregnant. So
she
she didn't have the
illicit happening.
Yeah,
when
like
recovering from an illness, she was recovering from an illness.
She is Laura Palmer, and she's not Laura Palmer. She is living a double life, but the second double life isn't at the Roadhouse. It's in a library. It's she has betrayed her class, not by being a whore, but by trying to be more
better.
By
trying to
and
take
that
care of
to me, that's the terrible tragedy of her life. Is the life she was trying to keep secret was not that she was out slumming, it that she was trying to break into a place in society,
a different class
where she did not belong.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a beautiful place to finish.
Great.
Oh my God. I was like,
write this book so I can keep writing these damn things.
Yeah, oh my God, everybody, honestly, Hazel was a good girl. If you're a fan of Twin Peaks, even if you weren't, if you're a fan of true crime.
And if you hate true crime.
And if you hate true crime.
Right. Like, as a history minor, I loved those parts more than I'm like, look, we're not getting into anything grisly. I affirm there was nothing grisly in the book.
If you are a fan of the show The Gilded Age, this is the book for you. Like, there's just, it was great. Jerry, thank you for putting in the work for Hazel, because somebody needs to. Somebody has to.
Anybody back then, that's for sure.
There was nobody done. So Jerry, thank you for doing the work. Thank you for Hazel. Thank you for being on Vox Vomit as our first ever true crime. Slippery slope, Allison. Next time we're going to have a really disgusting true crime author where it's all just mutilations.
I won't be on that show.
I know.
That's fair. I was going to say.
Like, all mutilations all the time. Nope, that's not what this is.
Are you our first PhD? Because he may be our first PhD. Too.
No, I feel like there was somebody else.
We've had other people with fancy degrees.
Especially...
we've had doctors, because Dr. Jim.
Yeah, we debated heavily.
But he's a veterinarian, and you are not. Those are different.
It's like not a veterinarian.
2-day debate as to whether or not to put my degree on there. We had a 2-day debate because finally it was Christoph who decided it needed to be there because it made me sound more credible.
You're not
100%.
But normally,
random podcasters.
You're not an armchair detective. You're a PhD.
But at work, where there's 2,500 other PhDs, we don't do that stuff.
You're like, I'm just known as Jerry with the bourbon.
Jerry no, everybody, all those PhDs,
everybody has bourbon
too. It's still Washington.
Jerry D over there.
Jerry D with the bourbon. Which Jerry D with the bourbon?
Which Jerry D with the bourbon? The good bourbon.
The good bourbon. Good bourbon and a good bow tie. We'll go with that. So everybody, please, Hazel was a good girl. Buy the book. Next week or the week after, Allison and I are going to be celebrating our 5-year anniversary, our Voxiversary. Tune in for that show. Also coming up, we have Chuck Wendig in August.
Beginning of August, yes.
That's going to be probably annoying for everybody because I'm going to be crying the entire time because I love him.
We're just going to fangirl and be useless.
I'm just going to weep. No, I've met him in person and I didn't cry then, so I think I can get my.
Then I can cry. That works.
You can cry. Yeah, we can't both be crying.
No. We'd be good.
We'll do that during the anniversary show.
We can both cry. Different kinds of tears. Sorry. That'll be good.
That was a teaser.
Tune in next time.
Tune in next time for the crying. Jerry, thank you again. Thank you for coming dressed to impress. Put your hat on again.
Put your hat on.
I want it on again in case we do like a screenshot. I don't know if that's going to happen. Usually Allison and I talk too much and do too much with our hands.
And it's all
like
of our
every screenshot is just like...
me in motion.
Or blurry.
I don't stay still. Okay, we're good.
Okay. All right. Until next time, Jerry, we love you. You definitely have to come back.
Please.
Anytime.
Kind of like whenever you want.
When you tell us the true story of the Philly
Us
fanatic.
the true story of like literally anything.
Sure.
That's good.
Just come back with a fact.
Cool. Happy. It's a blast.
And a hat.